Everyone has at least once in their life spent several hours watching the incredible cartoon of Peppa Pig. But have you ever stopped to think that even though it's very fun, this animation has some things that can become terrible?
I'm really hungry now.
Think with me. In the world of the little pink pig, we follow Peppa's day-to-day life. Her trips to school, the moments she spends with her friends, and of course, with her family. Besides her father, mother, and little brother George, she also loves spending time with her grandparents. It's really sweet to see those moments between them and their grandchildren. But as everyone knows, grandparents are elderly people, and for that reason, we know they will most likely pass away before the children. I don't even want to think about it. But there's no denying that a moment will come in the cartoon when the children and their parents will have to deal with Grandma and Grandpa's departure, and that will be a terrible thing. Speaking of relatives, everyone who's a fan of Peppa already knows that mysterious story about her evil twin. No, you didn't hear wrong. Probably George is not the only child living in the pig family house besides Peppa. In an official wallpaper of the Little Pigs cartoon, there was a very cute picture shared of the family outside the house on a beautiful day, the blue sky, the sun shining, and a little pig inside the house. It could be Peppa, but we can see that she's there with her family outside. So, who is that other child? Well, the creators of the cartoon never clarified the super weird situation, so we imagine that the second pig child is Peppa's twin sister. But unlike her sister who is raised with lots of love, this other pig is treated with neglect and doesn't even have the right to leave the house. So everyone knows that this second Peppa is very angry with her whole family, especially her sister who has everything she never had. We imagine that after living so many years hidden from everyone, with the rest of the family pretending she doesn't exist, this other pig will attack her own family to set herself free, and finally, everyone will meet Peppa's evil twin sister. But these aren't the only terrible things that can happen in the cartoon we love. In this video, I'll show you even more. Going back to talking about the animals' routine, we know there are some very strange moments in the cartoon when some animals who are natural predators of others act a little wild. This is all very strange because everyone knows that in the world of the little pig, even though some are stronger than others, they all live in harmony. But there are times when some animals seem to forget about this and feel tempted to go after others, like in the case of Mr. Fox, almost attacking one of Grandpa Pig's chickens. Because of that, we imagine that a terrible moment could happen where some animals can't control themselves anymore and attack others. For example, Mr. Wolf, who already threatened Daddy Pig the day he said he was hungry and looked at the pig in a suspicious way, or Miss Gazelle, who was startled when Mr. Lion appeared in front of her out of nowhere. All of this is very bizarre.
This is all some kind of whacked-out conspiracy.
And since we talk about Grandpa's chickens, there's another terrible thing that could happen in Peppa Pig at any moment. As everyone knows, the characters sometimes gather at parties or barbecues. But where does the meat for these celebrations come from? For example, in the episode The Fire Engine, Mr. Bull, Mr. Rabbit, Mr. Pony, Mr. Zebra, and Daddy Pig gather to have a barbecue. We see everything ready for the party, but we don't see the meat. And let's remember that at this party there's a pig, a bull, and a rabbit, animals that are served in some parts of the world. So do the animals eat others who are not as intelligent and talkative as they are? It wouldn't be surprising, since Grandpa Pig's chickens don't behave like humans like the rest, so they probably serve as food. It's crazy to think that in Peppa's world, some animals serve as food for others, and the only thing that separates them is whether they can talk or not. And if you're enjoying discovering these details about Peppa's world and are liking the video so far, comment #shot down below. Speaking of Mr. Fox, his suspicious behavior might go unnoticed by some of the town's inhabitants, but the children. But it's obvious that at some point, everyone will discover that he's not as honest as the other animals, that he commits some crimes and threatens to commit others, like stealing Grandpa's chickens. Because of this criminal behavior, in the future, Mr. Fox might have to pay the price and get imprisoned, and he wouldn't be taken by some unknown officer, but by his own son, who would become a police officer in Peppa's town. But it's not just Mr. Fox who lives a complicated life. Even though they live in the same world as the other animals, who have accepted rules to live in society, the rabbit family is different and doesn't think like their friends and neighbors. Being vegetarians, the rabbits were against the idea of animals behaving differently, serving as food for others. Because of this, The rabbit family still interacts with others and has friends in town, but when something terrible happens, like the great flood that sometimes hits the town, they are practically forgotten. So much so that in the episode The Biggest Muddy Puddle in the World, we see Mr. Rabbit being rescued with a very sad face, clearly having lost everything because of the rain. Man, that's terrible. Poor rabbits.
And my day is ruined.
And this terrible flood brings us to another terrible thing that might have happened in this universe's past. If the animals didn't rebel against the humans, another terrible explanation is that in the past, climate change destroyed everything and only these animals survived. That's why they united and live in this town after all. It's the only one left in the whole world. And as a consequence of all this, sometimes it rains so much that the entire town floods, leaving everyone scared, remembering the terrible events that happened in the past. And if you also love Peppa, are surprised by these events, and are enjoying this video, quickly click on the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and enjoy. Because of the destruction, the families decided to isolate themselves, since they had spent years living just to please humans, who dominated them and treated them as pets. Everyone decided it would be better if each family lived its own life separately. There are still moments when everyone meets, on special occasions like birthdays and the barbecue we mentioned here. However, in general, they all live their lives far from each other so that no one tries to own others as they did in the past when people walked the earth. I never stop to think about how many strange things can happen in the world of the little pink pig. We've selected 2 really cool videos that have everything to do with you, so you can keep watching fun content here with us. Just choose the one you like the most and click on it. Thanks, and enjoy the video.